So in 5th grade, my parents were going through a post-divorce midlife crisis phase. Not a really great combination. So just to put it this way, my mom had her motto steam pressed onto a sweatshirt that she got off the boardwalk in Jersey that said her name and life in the fast lane. And you really can't live life in the fast lane and raise kids. At least you probably shouldn't. And my dad was having so much post-divorce premarital sex that it probably would have killed my Irish Catholic grandmother if it hadn't been for her rosary and her highballs of scotch. And my brother, who had always been my rock, he was always there for me through our parents' divorce and the custody battle, all the chaos at home. Well, he was now a teenager. He reached teenager status. And so he was like too cool to hang out with his little sister, take care of me, things like that. And he had all these girlfriends and friends. So I started to feel alone. But not for too long, because I'll pretty much talk to anybody. It's a trait that I both love and hate about myself. I love it because I like to meet new people, but it's really horrible for when you're trying to do anything quickly, like get directions somewhere or something like that. But it was this trait that I had that created this lifelong friendship with Jen, one of my 5th grade classmates. In fact, we became best friends. And I know we were best friends because when I passed her a note in class one day, she checkmarked the box that said best friends, when clearly there was another option that said just friends. So Jen and I became really good friends, and we created a strong bond, and so things were looking up for me, and even more so because we created a bond with our 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Dempsey. And every Monday morning we would come in and we would tell Mrs. Dempsey about our weekend adventures, typical 10-year-old kid stuff like how we saw aliens or how we summoned some spirits through her brother's Ouija board, or the time that we decided to rub baby oil on ourselves and lay out on my mom's black tar roof to get a tan. Typical 10-year-old kid stuff. But no matter what we told Mrs. Dempsey, she listened very patiently. She seemed really interested, and she gave us a sense that she really cared about what we had to say. So no matter what was going on at home with all the chaos at home, life really wasn't that bad. I had Mrs. Dempsey, I had Jen, and things started to look up even more when the new kid came into town, and his name was Paul. And Paul was the new blue-eyed, blonde-haired hunk in town. And I knew immediately that we were going to be soulmates. Because when Mrs. Dempsey introduced him in front of the classroom, his face turned beet red, just like mine does when I get completely embarrassed. So we were getting introduced to the new kid, I was falling in love, I saw all these other 10-year-old girls drooling over him, and I was going to be damned if I wasn't the one that he picked to be his girlfriend. Because we all just knew that he had to pick somebody to be his girlfriend. So we're drooling over him, and also the day he came, it was also the day that it was the time of year when the teacher makes you move the desk around. So I begged Mrs. Dempsey if Jen and I could sit next to Paul, and she let us, and it was towards the back of the classroom, and Jen realized she forgot her glasses. And we tried to play it off for a little bit until Jen was not able to answer some of the questions that Mrs. Dempsey was handing out, and she realized Jen forgot her glasses. So she made us move to the front of the room, but eventually, I did get us back there, sitting next to Paul again, and I was going to fight tooth and nail to stay there the rest of the year. Nothing was going to discourage me. And by nothing, I mean not even the time that I leaned over under my seat to get my Trapper Keeper, and I ripped the big one right in Paul's direction. Yeah. Or the time that I announced to the class that Paul broke my bed. And what I meant by that is that during one of Jen and I's weekend adventures, we were pretending, I guess it was raining outside, or I'm just going to say we had nothing better to do. We were pretending to be the people in our class, doing flips off of my headboard onto my bed. Well, when it was my turn to pretend to be Paul, I did the flip, and I landed on the bed, and the whole bed frame broke. And down came the headboard, the bed frame, all that kind of good stuff. And it was a good thing that I recorded this on a cassette recorder, because I brought it in the next day then to show the class. And that way I could fully explain what I meant when I said that Paul broke my bed. Nothing was going to discourage me. Not even when Paul did not respond to the love letters that Jen and I wrote to him. Jen also wrote him love letters, yes, and that was okay because she was my best friend and it was cool. But not even when he didn't respond to those. So Jen and I would write him these love letters, and we would fold them in that really cryptic way we did that made them look like envelopes back in the day. And we looked up his home address in the white pages. And we found out that it was only 3 blocks away from Jen's parents' house. So we walked over there, and we were pretty sure he was going to get it if we stuck it in this white vent that was by his basement window. Even though it was blowing out hot air, we still stuck the note in there. Pretty sure that he got those notes, but he never responded. Still, I wasn't going to be discouraged. Until the day he picked Stephanie to be his girlfriend. That's the day that, surprisingly, didn't really make a difference. I wasn't sad, nothing happened. Life kind of just went on. And in fact, I hadn't thought about 5th grade, those memories from 5th grade in more than 20 years until Jen called me. She still lives in our hometown, and her son actually had Mrs. Dempsey when he went through 5th grade. She called to tell me that she saw Mrs. Dempsey's obituary in a newspaper. And we shared this moment of silence, and I knew that we were both thinking the same thing, and it had nothing to do with the aliens, the seances, or the tanning, or all those awkward moments I was trying to get Paul's attention, but it had everything to do with our appreciation for the way Mrs. Dempsey made us feel normal. Thank you.